to interact with me or ask questions and things like that, I would recommend going to sentientacademy.com, and you scroll down a little bit and it says free streaming, and you can ask questions and stuff like that, because since I'm painting here, I'm not going to be able to look at my phone and paint simultaneously. So I do have Keith, who's from Sentient Academy, who's going to be monitoring comments. You can also see it on a little bit higher definition screen as well. All right, we're going to get started here. Hope everybody's doing all right. I'm here in Utah, and we had some hurricane-force winds, and all these old trees got blown over. And so Utah is in a state of emergency, kind of along with the rest of the United States right now. But what we're going to do here is just a nice, tranquil scene. We're just kind of going to pretend that none of that crazy stuff's going on, and just take a minute and just relax and enjoy painting from life. We also have a reference photo that you can see on sentientacademy.com that I'm painting from. I know some people are going to paint along with me, which is awesome. And so you can get that just by logging in. Is that right, Keith?
Yeah.
So they can just log in and then see it right there?
Oh, no, it's just on the main page. They don't even need to log in.
It's just there. Page. Okay. So you can just go on to sentientacademy.com and see the reference and stuff like that. If you want to paint along, totally awesome. Love to have you. Okay, so I've got this just drawn in before we start the video, just so you're not watching what is kind of the boring part of just indicating where everything's going to go. I hope everybody's having a nice Wednesday. So I'm doing these paintings, a series of still lifes for the Strada Challenge. If you don't know about the Strada Challenge, go to Strada Easel, strada.easel on the Instagram, and you can see the link. I've been posting it along with each of the paintings that I've done recently, and you can see what that's all about. Basically, it's painting and drawing from life using any medium, and people all over the world are doing it. It's pretty exciting. So I'm having a good time, and really that's the reason why I've been doing still life lately, is because of doing the challenge. I've taken that opportunity to work on still life, which before that time I hadn't really done any or much still life since I was in school at the Academy of Art University years ago. So it's been fun to kind of awaken that dormant part of my brain. So I've kind of set up a very classic looking still life with some colors that are very muted, kind of brassy looking things with the bread and this bowl and also this dried lavender here. So it's more about the subtlety of the light and the subtlety of the color and the nuances, rather than something that's really bright and bold and brash. So each day I do something, a little bit different, because the whole purpose of this is to kind of experiment and learn, rather than just do things that I'm totally 100% used to and comfortable with. So that's kind of the whole point of all of this. The Strada Challenge is to kind of stretch yourself, improve areas that need to be improved. And I've never painted brass before, so this will be fun. A couple days ago I did paint some copper, and that was a lot of fun. And so we're going to do some brass here today, and the brass is just got a little bit more of a yellowy tone instead of that orange from the copper. So it'll be fun to kind of dial into those colors and see what I can come up with, give it that nice metallic feel to it. Again, if you want to ask questions and if you're interested in asking questions, please go to sentientacademy.com and you can click on the free streaming, and Keith will be telling me what questions you may have, and I'd be happy to answer anything that you're thinking about right now.
So we have a couple of students over here, Candace, Lydia, and some other people.
Oh, great. Great to have you on.
Yeah, Candace has been working really hard. She's in Alvin's mentorship program and she's working hard.
That's great. I thought I'd mention Sentient Academy has a lot of great live workshop sessions as well as recorded classes. I have a still life class on Sentient Academy, and I've been recording some of my latest still lifes for a part 2. I'm not sure when that will be released, but because right now I'm working, or I just opened up a class for gallery level paintings. So it's less about studying and more about kind of doing work and paintings that are at a gallery level. And so we have a lot of students that have taken my more basic courses and they're ready for more. And so we just opened that course up for people that are getting more advanced and want to have a higher level painting experience. So
your still life course is actually from your last Strada challenge.
Yeah, exactly. So I recorded a bunch of the paintings I did for the last Strada challenge, and that's the bulk of the stuff for the course. So it goes through a lot of different type of objects, a lot of different surfaces and things like that, and it is really geared towards somebody that's just kind of getting started, has some basics, but getting started on learning how to understand light and how to kind of capture any type of object by analyzing the light. And so that's kind of what I'm after as far as that training goes. So there's no necessarily formula that I'm using here to create these colors. I'm mostly, it's all about that kind of observation of analysis of the light. I love painting food. I think there's something kind of gratifying about it, and you get to eat it when you're done, so you always get a nice reward. So I've got this lovely sourdough roll here with sesame seeds that I'm painting here. Now I'm just loosely putting this in right at the beginning. It's just nice and thin.
So any tips for the people who are doing the challenge this month?
So as far as, tips for the challenge, I think one thing that's important is to, keep whatever you're painting is pretty simple. And if you can keep it focused too, I think that's can be of more benefit, so that you're not just rushing to get it done, that you are actually can take the time to study it, even if it's just, a series of apples or something like that, something really simple. Or if you're, doing plein air, going out and just capturing, rocks or bushes or just simple kind of sky, mountain, land. Just have a simple goal of what you're trying to study and learn. And then what I kind of do is little variations on that theme. For example, I've painted a pot during the challenge, and then I've painted some bread, and now I'm actually combining the two. pot and bread together. And so I'm slowly building up some skills that will allow me to do more complex paintings later on. So yesterday we had crazy strong winds and a lot of old trees, 100-year-old trees and stuff all fell down. And a lot of people, a lot of my family that live here in town have lost some old trees, and power lines have been down and stuff like that. So we're lucky to have power here. A lot of people don't have it right now. But I know that, you look at the weather map and you've got fires in one area, snow in another. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So right now it's nice to be inside because we had 90-degree weather yesterday, or no, day before yesterday. And now it's like near freezing this morning. So we've had quite the extremes. So I'm just keeping this pretty thin here first. So we're going to live stream this for about an hour. So you're welcome to come check back if you want to see how this progresses throughout the next hour or so. And I'm certainly not going to be able to finish this. This is a 16 by 20 inch panel. And so I will not be able to get finished, but we'll make some serious headway here. I'm going to kind of block it in, and then I'll kind of dial in one area, I think, in order to just get it to an interesting spot. Kind of love this early stage stuff where you can just be really free with the color tones. Don't have to be too concerned about what you're doing at this point. One thing I love is this kind of subtle yellow tone, and then the lavender has a very slight purplish color. So we get a yellow kind of purpley scheme here, but it's subtle. It's not banging you over the head with it. It's just more felt than anything, but it's there. So with the Strada challenge, I've been painting every day since the start of September. One thing you can see if you want to look at paintings that people are doing across the world, you can go to the strada.easel Instagram page, and take a peek at what everybody's doing. They're sharing a lot of different artists' work every day, and a lot of variety of subjects and style. So make sure and check that out. I also have, I'm part of a show at Sugarlift Gallery in New York City, in Chelsea, New York, and it'll open tomorrow. It's called Still. If you go to Sugarlift, you can see the work there, sugarlift.com. And I have some recent still life paintings that are part of that show. There's a lot of great artists represented in that gallery, in that show. So check it out. So I'm actually using kind of obviously oils, because that's what I'm using here, but I think it's mainly a brush for acrylic and watercolor. I tend to like just the soft, washy kind of feel that it gives. So that's why I'm going with this type of brush rather than a traditional hog bristle. And so special thanks goes to Treckle for the brush. Or Trekkel, I think that's how it's said, right?
Is it?
Trekkel, yeah.
Oh.
We had lunch with the owner, and she called it Trekkel. I thought it was Treckle, but it's Trekkel.
We've been saying it wrong.
Yeah. All right, here. One thing I've noticed, as I'm looking at these grays, have you noticed that a lot of houses today are being built with kind of whites and grays? Lots of whites, right?
Like those almost New England farmhouse looking.
Yeah, but it's almost like, oh, that's a new neighborhood because everything's built with white and gray. Curious if you're in your part of the world, if new homes are with that same color, if it's just this part of the world that they're doing that.
So we're starting to get more people joining the YouTube side.
Oh, okay. Oh, can they make comments on YouTube as well?
Yeah. Well, that's how we stream it on Sentient. We just put it on our YouTube. So
okay.
If they want to watch it later.
Can they go to YouTube as well?
Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. So, it's on Sentient Academy's YouTube channel. So you can just go to Sentient Academy YouTube and it will pull up. You can make comments there if you want, or get interaction.
And coming Monday, we're going to have Josh Clare to have a little interview piece.
Oh, yeah.
Check out.
That's awesome.
And see how he's
doing. If you guys know Josh Clare, a good friend of mine, he will be talking about just what makes him tick and how he handles his creative life.
He's a professional artist.
Professional artist. So it's kind of a discussion. You can ask questions and things about, what he does to manage things day to day and stay, creative and be a successful artist like he is. He'll have a lot of great insights to share. So definitely recommend checking that out. Actually going to add a little bit more turpentine here, so this gets a little washy down in this area, because I would like to layer that a little bit more.
So it's been a year since we officially launched your first course last year.
Oh, that's right. Is it a year today?
This week, the 12th, I think that's
Okay.
we launched our first course last year.
Oh, right.
And just thanks everybody for your support. We were able to grow quite a bit, having a lot of new artists coming on board.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's exciting to see all the great and talented artists that we've had. Kind of list. We have, of course, Josh Clare that we mentioned, Mike Malm, Alvin Vazelka. We have Ben Hammond. We have Suchitra, Beausoleil, David Dibble,
and
Keith Bond, Aaron Schur.
It's a long list, and we have some
Jared Brady, Kylan Q, Ellie Hart,
Ellie Wilson, and Kimball Geisler. They just went out to take first and second place.
Oh, right. That's right. They first and second place on that last plein air show that they did.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're cooking.
Yeah, and it's so good that they have workshops out there on Sentient to help you to see their secrets.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and we have, I think there's what is it? John Cosby's doing a Seascape Workshop. And his work is really great. He's one of his claim to fame is, because he does a graphic design. I mean, he's a fine art painter for many years now. I mean, decades. But he got his start doing graphic design, and he designed the now famous logo for In-N-Out Burger. Yeah, that bent arrow of In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, his workshop is this coming Thursday, 7th. Next week.
Yeah, next week.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be a great workshop. There's a lot to understand about the ocean, so you don't waves or look correct, the physics are working and stuff like that. And he's lived by the ocean almost all his life, and so he's a great one to study. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you want to paint the ocean.
He captured the movement and the light so well. Like the waves, they don't look stiff, and you can see the light shining through. Yeah, he understands how the waves work and stuff like that. So definitely recommend taking that course or that workshop. Great thing about the workshops is you can get a lifetime recording of the video, so you watch it and interact with him, but then you can also rewatch it and paint along if you want. Yeah.
So it's not just a one and done. It's something that you can enjoy and come back to. Because I find that instruction, you never get everything right at the beginning. You kind of, you get it in pieces, right?
And you gotta, do some practice to digest the information.
Yeah, totally. I remember years ago taking some workshops, and even when I learned at the Academy of Art University, I would hear the teacher say things and didn't quite understand what they meant, and it took years later to kind of figure it out. For one, was the temperature of the light. Not totally understanding what it meant to have different colored lights, warm and cool. Like, for instance, I'm using a light here that's about 52 Kelvin, and that light produces a certain amount of color tone here, and just depending on the light bulb you choose will determine all the colors that are in your painting. And some lights make it easier to paint than others. Like if I have a really warm light, can make it more challenging, because your lighter tones need to stay warm, and it can kind of make it tougher and kind of foul you up if you're not kind of getting a right, just lighting the still life.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
If a limited palette of 5 colors is good for a novice to stick to for a few years.
A limited palette?
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. I had basically for about 3 or 4 years, I just had white, I had one red. I had a yellow, like basically white, yellow, a red, and ultramarine blue. And I learned a lot more about color temperature and just, color relationships just by having those three than adding all of these other colors. So I definitely agree with that sentiment of, painting with just a few colors. You have to do it long enough and then it'll start to click. And you're like, okay, I understand what to put in when I'm having, this problem, or if it's too cool, or, this idea of my colors are all kind of messed up and muddy. I never feel like I'm getting into muddy color these days. And I think it goes back to that initial training with just three colors. So I know I need to push one of those, is it need to be more blue? Does it need to be more in the red family, or does it need to be more in the yellow family?
You simplify the problem solving, right? Because you only have those three colors in white.
Yeah.
Instead of 10 colors to deal with.
So, the family here, I've got a couple different colors. I've got this cad yellow light, I've got an orange and a Indian yellow there, and I know which one to pick, based on where I need to push it. Because each one has a little bit more red in it, or one has maybe a little bit of blue in it versus another one. So, that kind of stuff can be super helpful.
And it works, because if you look at Ellie Wilson, she used just three colors and she went out and took the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, yeah.
So,
yeah, it's and you start to learn that it's not about color specifics, but it's about color relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And that's such a critical lesson to learn, that what really matters. Because sometimes you go after certain colors, or you're like, oh, I need to get this exact brown that I see there on this part of that roll. Well, maybe, but maybe that doesn't really matter. Maybe it's just in relationship to how does it work with this. This is more saturated and a little bit warmer than what's back there, and that's more important than the specific brown that I'm using and whether it matches exactly what I'm seeing. So you start to understand stuff like that can be really ultimately more valuable than getting some formula down,
So we addressed this several times in your class and your workshop too, but we can ask again, is you typically don't tone your board, right? You just start with the white.
Yeah, I get cleaner color that way when I do that. So it's a personal preference. Of course, I could also tone it. Problem is, though, if I tone it, then it's all wet, and I like to get some sharper edges. And if I don't tone it, then I can get a greater variety of edge work. So it's kind of a strategy that I employ, and that's one of the things I talk about in my mastery or my gallery series. That it has a lot to do with you're developing a method where by what you do right at the beginning will determine what's going to happen as the final result and the layering that goes on afterwards. And so that builds in a lot of consistency, and basically your, ultimately becomes your style by that method that you employ. And so that's something that we talk a lot about, and I talk about, why I set this thing up, and then, an hour later or 2 hours later, I say, okay, the reason why I did that right at the beginning is because of what's going on right now and what I'm able to do because of that.
Yeah, that whole series of lessons, they are longer, more complex gallery paintings.
Yeah.
So it really took a lot of time to build up layers after layers.
Yeah.
It's good to kind of see the whole process, because these smaller demos, there's only that much you can see in the...
Well, you kind of see the beginning, and it's like a chess match, only seeing the beginning part of it, right? And the setup. And a lot of people miss, unless you have that longer demo, is they're not necessarily seeing the whole end game. And end game is an important part of the process of building a complete painting, right? To have that end game.
You can watch the whole Avengers series and skip the end game.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Hey, here's another question. So you mainly paint on boards, and someone found that the surface is really fragile. It's kind of gets scratched easily, especially areas where there's more washy application with Gamsol. Do you have any tips, or did you find the same thing?
You do need to be careful. Yeah, there is a sensitivity to it, and you have to be aware of that. And I understand that even when I ship paintings, once somebody's bought one. In fact, I just shipped one out today, and I'm just really careful in the way I pack it because I don't want anything to happen to the surface. And so, yeah, there's some delicacy. It's delicate, but just because it's delicate, I don't necessarily want to change the way I paint, just so something doesn't get ruined. The other thing that's nice about these panels, if something does happen, and I've had that happen where, in fact, just recently I had a painting that the client told me it got damaged in the mail because FedEx literally must have dropped it from like 10 feet or something, because the frames I have are just really solid, really well made, and so you really got to drop it on its side to injure a painting. Anyway, this frame got really cracked. Fortunately, this doesn't happen a lot. I think in my career there are 5 times where I've seen it, a real bad drop like this, but it also damaged the surface of the painting. And so I had to sand some areas on the piece and go back down to the board layer, then build up the gesso, and then go through all the layering of the painting. So put in 4 or 5 layers. So it takes time to rebuild it back up to get to its original glory. But that's what I had to do to kind of get this painting back in good shape. And so I'd prefer to do that than if like a canvas was torn.
Oh yeah.
If your canvas gets torn, and I've actually had that happen too. Somebody was helping me frame a painting, and this is years ago. This is maybe 15, 16 years ago. And their drill went through the canvas. And so, that's a real pain to fix. And I think it's harder than something like a panel. So, it's hard to get. There are some of these delicate kinds of things that happen, and I've just found that I like a panel because it's easier to deal with.
Or even when you stack it, it doesn't take up as much space.
I like that too. Yeah, the whole stretcher bars adds another thickness, and I like panels. Just they're more. Part of it is from plein air. They're just easier to load into a wet paint carrier, and I also like the fact that light doesn't pass through. Like in a canvas, light will pass through, right? And it just causes a problem. It drives me nuts to see light passing through and I can't read the correct color and value.
Yeah.
So kind of drives me nuts.
So everybody's participating in Strada Challenge, and we just want to. Part of it's we're celebrating our launch for a year, and part of it's to really help people to get more lessons.
Yeah.
So we are doing a very special once a year celebration. So if you go to Sentient Academy website, there's you will see an image there say $15 towards your next course. So that's open for anyone. So if you have friends who are thinking about trying out some courses, or if you want to try some new courses, go there, just take a quick survey to kind of let us know your learning goals. It's like a 4-question survey, and once you finish that, we'll email you a code to, get you $15 towards any course we have out there.
Yeah, so Sentient Academy has they're doing a promo because it's a year anniversary from when it launched, and basically there is a little survey just to share learning goals and maybe things you'd like to see on the website, or an artist you'd like Sentient Academy to invite, and then there's a free coupon for $15, and that can be applied to any of the courses, any of the content. So it's kind of a nice thing right now. If you haven't gone on and tried any of the lessons, you can sign up for any of the courses, and they're only $15 a month. So you can get a month free, basically, if you want. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit of a darker tone here. Just want to get this to turn a little bit. Hey, if anybody on my Instagram wants to ask a question, just go to sentientacademy.com or on the YouTube channel, Sentient Academy, and you can ask questions from there. And be happy to answer anything you might be wondering about. Hopefully this gives you an idea of kind of my process. I have a whole course on Sentient Academy where I show just a variety of different objects, and what I'm painting doesn't matter as much as the way I'm kind of understanding and handling the light. It's all about the light, and that's how you can make things, any object, interesting or beautiful by the way it's lit and capturing that light. So let's see, on next Monday, is that when Josh is going to be
Monday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Okay,
so on Monday, same time as we're doing this now, we'll have Josh Clare. Josh Clare will be on just talking about his career and how he handles his day-to-day and inspiration and all that stuff, all that good stuff. So he has a great drawing course on the website. He's somebody who's really studied Nikolai Feshin and understands how he kind of created his pieces, and really has a nice drawing course.
So with the Strada challenge, some people they paint indoors, some people they do it outdoors.
Yep.
When they're doing outdoors, especially with the time or the weather right now, it's kind of crazy, right?
Sure.
Any tips to help them to kind of capture what they need sooner than later, so they can, get more done instead of spend a lot of time noodling around?
Well, I think the main thing is, just capturing the light and shadow. Forget all the detail. It's really not necessary. And that's one thing you'll see with Kimball Geisler. His workshop was really great, where it's, and a lot of artists talk about it, where if you just capture the bigger shapes and the light and shadow, you can just get things done so much quicker. Here, I'm not doing a ton of detail. I'm mostly just looking at the light and shadow shapes. And, you know, and let's see, how long have I been even doing this so far? It hasn't been that long, and you know, I've been able to get pretty far.
Yeah.
And that's how you can do a painting, you know, with broader strokes instead of all the little details. A lot of times we feel like that's what makes a painting great, but you know, it's not. It's less about capturing all those little details and more about, you know, getting that light and shadow. And so, you know, Sentient Academy does, you know, a lot of the instructors there are doing a great job, you know, teaching that method of being able to capture things really quickly. And so, you know, in the landscape, that's how you can get it done really quick.
And you're using the same concept to work on still life here too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing where still life will help you with landscape. Landscape will help you with still life. You know, like for instance, landscape, because the light changes so quickly, you just can't. You can't just dawdle. You have to, or just, you can't be a slow painter and capture what you need to. You only got a couple hours max to, you know, capture the effect of light. And so here in a still life, you can spend days and days on it, you know, because you've set it up and it's not moving. Of course, the bread will get stale, or if you had live flowers, they might start to wilt and die. But for the most part, you can spend a lot more time. But if I do that, if I start really noodling every little thing that I'm trying to paint, it will kind of die. It won't have that spontaneity and beauty to it than if I just go for the bigger shapes and bigger.
How about the color saturation? Because a lot of colors you have there is, especially on the bread, it's really saturated. And then if you keep messing with it, it's gonna start.
Yeah, exactly. It starts to diminish a little bit, you know. And so again, like I talked about earlier, you know, it's the setup, right? You set it up in a certain way, knowing that later on, you know, something else is going to happen as I work on it more. And because I understand that, that's why I put that higher saturation at the beginning.
So you do these challenges twice a year?
Yeah, so Strada does them twice a year. And so September, if you missed this year's challenge, definitely sign up for the one in January. January is a great time because not a whole lot's going on, and you know, as long as it's not the apocalypse or something like that, we're going to be doing. You know, the challenge is going to happen, and people can start signing up. December 15th.
It's a great learning experience.
It's a great learning experience, and I know I didn't paint much still life until doing the Strada challenge, and just by doing that, and maybe this is my 5th or 6th time doing it. You know, I've learned so much by doing it. You know, just making that commitment to paint every single day. And it also has forced me to choose maybe subjects that I normally wouldn't paint, because I'm kind of looking around my studio thinking, oh man, I got to come up with another painting idea today. And sometimes I just pick something like a bag of candy or chips or something like that, you know, and then light it in kind of an interesting way. And that becomes my next still life. So that's been fun. Yeah, doing some backlit, like the jar of peaches that I did. That was kind of a new, you know, I haven't done a whole lot of backlit stuff, and I have more plans to do some backlit things. I even have a antique phone that Keith's going to let me borrow. That will be fun to paint.
You want to borrow the escaped hamster too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you could even paint some animals, right? Thing is, it's hard to paint a live animal. I need a dead one.
Yeah.
I may go over to there's a science museum that has a lot of stuffed animals.
Last year you did turkey.
I did turkey and a tiger, and there's still plenty more animals to do, and I'm going to probably paint a few more when I get down there. So that'll be kind of a fun thing. So, and then I have other antiques and things that I've either purchased or borrowed that I'll be doing as well. So again, just opportunities to paint things that I normally wouldn't paint, and gives you an excuse really to, since you're doing a challenge, instead of like trying to say, okay, this is my signature work, on Instagram you kind of, or social media, you have maybe a certain brand that you're putting across. Well, by having a challenge like the Strada challenge, I think it gives you a creative license to say, well, this is about this challenge. That's why I'm painting all these interesting random things.
Helps, like Kai, he's been doing little 6x6, and then when he finishes, just $250 and just popping it.
Yeah, and a lot of artists have sold a lot of their work too. Yeah, and so you don't have to do. I mean, this is a larger piece, a 16 by 20, and I don't usually paint this large for the challenge. Usually, it's like 12 by 12 inches or smaller. But today I felt a little more ambitious of doing something just a little bit larger. Just to challenge myself. So we're just going to stream this for an hour. I don't know how much time we have left, maybe a couple minutes, but I will post kind of how this thing ends up. And so stay tuned if you want to kind of check back and see how I kind of finish this up. Yeah.
And don't forget to do your Strada challenge and post it so we get to see you. That's why we're doing this, to kind of check up on everybody, make sure everybody keeps going.
Yeah, I know a couple people have dropped out, and always sorry to hear that. I know stuff happens, and like some friends in California with the fires and stuff, it's pretty gnarly stuff where people getting life flighted out. And I don't think any of the artists that I know personally are in that situation, but I know that can be a difficult thing. But even if you have some challenging stuff happen, like I said, we've had some crazy wind and stuff, and trees falling down and stuff here. But I just still got to make time for painting. You do something positive. I think it's just in order to stay sane too, is have a goal and have something that kind of drives you forward. And I found this is kind of helpful too. I know there was a lady that she was going through cancer. She did the Strada challenge, and it kind of got her through it. She's even going through chemo, and she just had kind of the will to keep painting during it. It's kind of neat. And she did, Plein Air Magazine did an article on her work and kind of her story. Really inspiring.
You don't have to do like big things.
No.
If you don't have time, you can just do a quick
study.
Yeah,
I'm doing something here that's maybe a little bit more over the top of what would be expected. There's no expectation other than just making sure it's kind of a daily thing, right? Yeah. It's not like it has to be, this elaborate. It can be even a drawing, or there's some people that are even doing on the iPad, right? They're just using Procreate.
All mediums welcome, right?
Yeah, any mediums welcome.
Digital.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
It's a good mental challenge, like a mental discipline thing.
Yeah, absolutely. we're just trying to get into the habit of painting daily, because that's what it takes to get, good at anything, is you got to build the habit. And that's what, this is about. And it really, jump starts people to get back into it.
I've been doing it every day. I don't get to do it from live, but still I try to keep up with my daily routine to at least get in there and do something.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
About 10 minutes.
Okay. So one of the themes that I've kind of worked on for this challenge is a lot of things. It's kind of harvest season. And so almost every painting that I've done, something from my garden has been in the painting. And that's what I've kind of done, is a little bit of inspiration, is just pulling out, whether it's, I started with a beet painting, did a red beet, and I planned, actually we planted all this stuff knowing that in the fall I'd have the Strada challenge. So there's a little bit of forethought that went into it. And, the day of, I pulled out 3 or 4 beets to see which one kind of had the best looking root and stuff like that. And so it's kind of fun to have something that you grew that becomes a part of still life. So it becomes a good memory too. This is also about kind of creating some good memories. Even I have some friends that are doing it. I know a son and mom and her son. They're both older, of course. They're not young, but they are doing it together, and this is their way to kind of connect with each other. Is they're kind of keep spurring each other on to do the challenge, and that's kind of neat. That's their way of connecting, especially now when with COVID and stuff, they can't get together in person. They're able to at least do it by doing, at least interact kind of by doing the challenge and kind of keep each other accountable. And that's really important, is by doing it as a group. It's kind of like you're in a marathon with everybody and everybody's spurring you on. If you haven't ever already done so, there's a Facebook group called Strada Painting and Drawing from Life. And that's where a lot of people are posting their work. I mean, they post it on their personal account, but they're also posting it on Strada Painting and Drawing from Life, and it's a way to see what everybody's doing, which is a fun thing too.
You get crazy inspirations because people do all kind of random things.
Yeah, yeah, it gives you ideas of like, oh, that would be cool to paint, because somebody comes up with something kind of wild.
Yep.
You're like, oh wow, that'd be cool. I saw the other day a really cool painting of a burrito in tinfoil.
What?
I thought, oh man, that'd be fun. Be fun to try.
It'll be hard to not eat it.
Yeah, that's a hard thing. Is letting something maybe go to waste because you painted something hot. It'd be hard for me to paint a hamburger because I would want to just eat it. Yeah. Hamburger and fries or something like that. But that would be fun to paint. Right now I'm kind of on a veggie kick, so something a little healthier. Well, I got some carbs right here, but this year I've wanted to paint this English lavender, and so trimmed it out and dried it, hung it upside down to dry it. I just love this subtle purpley tones in it.
You'll be cool to come back, follow your account to see how you handle that very fine detail in the end.
Up in here, yeah.
So
it'll take a little time to develop this.
We have about 5 minutes, so it's not gonna get to that point, but you guys just need to make sure, go back to Bryan's account and see how this one turned out.
Yep. Any final questions? We've got, just a couple of minutes left. I think all my trips around the world and in Europe and stuff like that, I think I always come back, especially seeing, the countryside, these amazing gardens and just how beautiful are. And I've tried to recreate that in my backyard as just a garden that has a lot of plants and stuff in it. And I just find that that's kind of a really fun place for inspiration for my still life work that I've been doing, is actually, growing this stuff. And, with the jars, I paint a lot of jars of fruit and things like that. And we've been canning that kind of stuff. I guess there's kind of a hipster vibe and all of that, wanting to be all, be a pretend farmer. I know real farming is, it's tough work, and my hat's off to everybody who does that kind of stuff. But nothing better than eating organic, food that you've grown out of your garden. Just a lot healthier. I know I eat a lot more veggies when I've actually grown them. It's just great to pick a, cucumber right from the garden and eat it, or tomato or whatever.
So someone's needing bread color help, please.
Bread color? Oh, wow. Okay, so like just with the bread, you've got the, I've used some burnt sienna kind of stuff here on the crust. But right here on the interior, in order to get that shadow color, because this is more of a light yellow tone to it, almost like ochre plus white. I don't have ochre on my palette, so I've just used a little bit yellow and orange and white there. But here, in order to get these areas to read like shadow, you need to dip into some of the greens. Otherwise, it'll be too warm here in the shadow areas. So that's something that it's a little bit elusive, but no, you don't want it green, or else your bread will look moldy, which you don't want. But you have to push it a little bit towards the green side to get those shadows to work. You can make sure and check out Sending Academy. They're doing a promotion right now of, if you get on there, and there's just a little survey, a couple questions about just basically what your goals are, and what you'd like to see on the website. They're always trying to improve the student experience. With a lot of online or like universities and stuff being half open or whatever, I think people are turning more and more to online learning, and so. With the platform, it's just really nice to be able to, you don't have to leave your house and just go, and you can learn, from some great artists, how they handle all kinds of, challenges in painting, from figurative to still life to landscape, just a little bit of everything's on there.
And even more, that's why we're doing the survey. We're the ones who's actually listening to students and see what they want.
Yeah.
And we can really kind of curate that content for you instead
right.
of...
Even which artists do you want to see on there, and they'll go ask them to do a workshop.
Do you always try to complement the background with the main subject?
Oh yeah, like color-wise and everything. The cools here relate to the warms here. There's even a little bit of some of the colors in here is there. Like nothing's a pure color. Everything is kind of a mix of color. Nothing's like a pure saturation. And so I always try and work, some of the colors especially the most saturated stuff, has to go in the other parts of the canvas. So definitely doing that kind of thing. And I get into it, you know, in more depth. We don't have a lot of time here, but more depth in my course, my still life course, where I talk, you know, a little bit more about color specifics. But the main thing here, this scene, even the way I've set it up, like the objects that I've picked, you know, it has kind of a brownish sort of umbery tone, browns and grays. And so that's the kind of scene. If I put like a bright green apple here, it might not, I mean, I would have to kind of modify the colors a little bit if I had something really, you know, super saturated in the scene. Here it's just a little easier to harmonize because of the colors and things that I've actually picked. And there's real art to how it is all, you know, just the objects you actually pick as well. Well, I think that's all we're going to do here. Great to have you guys watching, and thanks so much for tuning in. And you know, if there's any other questions, you know, just send me a direct message or whatever, and be happy to chat with you, or just, you know, respond to any questions you may have. But thanks for tuning in.
Okay, have a good night.
Good night.
Stay safe.